All right. We do have one more story to get to.
We do.
And that is apparently you all have phones
Yes.
and credit cards linked to the accounts that you download the apps on your phones because you've been
Right.
more than willing to pay for in-game bonuses when it comes to Diablo Immortal. Blizzard posted their first 30 days of Diablo Immortal, and a lot more of you buy DLC and in-game packages and boosts than we're willing to admit. $49 million in 30 days. I guarantee Diablo Immortal is profitable after just 30 days.
I know, and that's kind of insane given the backlash that they got from the announcement at BlizzCon.
I know.
Was it 2 years ago? It was 2 years ago, right?
2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
Don't you guys have
do you
phones?
Phones? Come on.
Right, it was that whole charade and
Okay.
like we're all expecting Diablo 4. Like all you have to do is put a flaming 4 up on the big
And
screen.
people went nuts.
People lose their minds. Instead,
Right.
it's like, no, we're coming out with a mobile game that you can play
Yeah.
the original Diablo, but with like all these added perks. Oh, and also it's pay to win. And people lost their minds and they said, well, don't you all have phones? And apparently you all have phones and you're all willing to spend millions of dollars because $49 million 30 days. That's $1.5 million a day.
I think the real bad thing about that whole BlizzCon thing is how they presented it. It wasn't necessarily that it's a mobile game, it was how they presented it. Because they presented it at the very end of the conference. Like, this is the big reveal.
It was the big
We're gonna
news.
do a big reveal. This is the big reveal because they always save the best for last, right? And the best for last was a mobile Blizzard game.
Right.
If they did that in the middle of the shuffle, yeah, I bet you people would be like, "Oh, this is very interesting."
Yeah.
That's where they got backlash from, but they weren't necessarily wrong. I mean, there is a market for mobile gaming, and obviously, people like Diablo, and obviously they were right to produce this because 1 month made $49 million right off the bat.
Right. So here's the downloads. Now, obviously, they saw a little over 1 million downloads on the first couple of days, upwards of 1.3.5 million for the first 3 days, and then a significant downfall down to about 250,000 per day for the first week. And then we're seeing like, what is that, 150, 125, 125,000 downloads per day is definitely not shabby as far as all that goes. But they're earning upwards of about $1.6 to $1.7 million per day in free content, in in-app purchase content.
Right.
$1.7 million per day.
Yeah.
And as you can see, like, there's a little bit of a downward trend here. But let's say it levels out right about the $1 million a day that it looks like it will be.
Yes.
Can you carry that number to the end of the year? I bet you can.
Highly profitable.
Right.
Highly profitable.
Let's just say they carry $1 million per day to the end of the year. That's $170 million.
Yeah. That's not a small amount. This is a winning formula.
Right.
Which kind of, given how Blizzard's standpoint is right now, they're kind of hurting, right? A lot of people are not really liking the direction that World of Warcraft's going. A lot of people are not liking the direction that Overwatch 2 is going. I think there's still a lot of anticipation for Diablo 4, obviously, but
not at this point. There's not.
Yes, a lot. So their core base is not looking too great, but then they release this mobile app and they're like, oh, we're making a ton of money from this.
All of a sudden we're a mobile developer.
Well, yeah, what do you think they're going to do in the future? They think they're going to go mobile.
Let's put 170 million, like, let's say Diablo Immortal makes $170 million in the first 6 months of release, okay? Let's just like round that to where it is. Diablo 3 in the first week, made $315 million.
Right.
They sold 6.3 million copies, let's say $50 each. They made $315 million in the first week of Diablo 3. They've probably made about $650 million on that. But that's been over a decade.
Yeah.
Like that's the lifespan of that franchise of Diablo 3 started in 2012. You know, let's say they've made $600 million. Like, let's be generous there.
Mm-hmm.
Man, can you imagine the revenue return from Diablo Immortal? Let's say they hold that 1 million revenue through next year. That's $490 million
Yeah.
for 18 months of a mobile game.
Yeah, and I guess I kind of take that back. I don't think they're going to go mobile. I think they're going to go more monetization.
Well, every company, regardless of if they're a games developer or an app developer or a social media service or a TV provider, they're all trying to get you to do subscription services right now.
They want the games for service type of model.
They want the games for service. They also want the predictable monthly return. That's the big thing, is because think about traditional games development where you spend 4 years developing Diablo 3 and then you make half of your money back in a month and the other half back over the next 8 years.
Yeah.
Like that's how games development works. Is you'll sink $100 million into development of Diablo 3 and in the first week you'll make $315 million. But unfortunately, you have to spend $100 million to get to that first week. After that point, you do some patches and some releases and maybe a couple free DLCs to get some stragglers on and whatnot. And, you know, it ends up making $600 million, but, you know, $500 million profit. No one's going to scoff at that too much. But at the end of the day, it's like I had to spend $100 million up front for the first 4 years.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a heavy investment.
Right. I guarantee Diablo Immortal does not have nearly that amount of development time and development costs associated with it. I'd be shocked if we were north of $30 million for Diablo Immortal. They've already made $49 million. Like, I guarantee
they're already like, this is working good. This was a smart decision already in their minds.
Imagine if in the first 18 months it nets $490 million profit. Like, that's the track that they're on. Do you understand that?
Of course. Well, that's the thing. They see these numbers, and that's the way they're going to go. Monetization.
Right.
You get a popular IP, you start monetizing it.
Right.
I mean, that's what they did. World of Warcraft. It's subscription-based service. It's been going strong. It's made them a ton of money. I don't think there's any product that they're going to make that's going to surpass World of Warcraft, but they're starting to do that with Diablo. I think somebody mentioned in the chat that Overwatch 2, it's going to be free, but it's a small IP that they're starting up, and I guarantee you it's going to be more monetized than the first one.
Disney spent $4 billion on LucasArts. They then went out and made 5 movies. They made Rogue One, Solo, and then the sequel trilogy. But then they spun it around and went, hey, why don't we use Star Wars to make everyone buy our service for $15 a month?
Yeah. Well, not only Star Wars, but Marvel as well.
Right. And so now we have Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan and the soon-to-be-released Lando, and there's a whole bunch of other series that are like
Andor,
on the cusp
or something like that. Yeah, Andor, I think, is another one.
And, you know, they're trying to get away from relying on the box office single-day sales because... let's be real, the opening weekend of a box office summer hit is 80% of the money you'll make over the lifetime of that movie.
Absolutely.
And I have friends who run businesses that are like literally dependent on 1 to 3 weeks worth of income. I have a really good friend who runs a haunted house. And he works 11 months out of the year to open his haunted house for 3 weeks a year.
Yeah.
And he makes all of his money in that 3 weeks. And let me tell you, the stress going into those 3 weeks.
Oh, I bet.
Now, during those 3 weeks, he loves to turn to me and go, I'm making $12,000 an hour right now.
That's all you're making right now.
But he doesn't get to work the other 11 months.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. I know exactly who you're talking about too. And they are the best haunted house in the area. But,
they are, and he's a great guy. Like I love him to death. But yeah, it's really funny when you put your head into that mindset. Yeah. Where that's the same lifespan of a software developer and a games publisher and things like that. Is they're and hop farmers. Like, let's circle all the way back to beer. We talked about like driving by hop farms for 9 months of the year and being able to smell all the different variants of hops and seeing the beautiful fields that are laid out in front of you. They literally make all of their money for the year in 1 week.
In that one time.
And that is Harvest Week.
All the time. Yeah.
And Harvest Week, you know when that week is because every single highway in the area is jam-packed with hop trucks.
They're the open air trucks that have the hops just hanging out.
They're the open air trucks with like the slat wood sides.
Yep. Yeah, I know, because like you can drive down the highways here, the backcountry roads, and you see this like little bits of hop leaves and stuff like that strewn all over the side of the road.
Strewn down the road. Yeah. You could probably just walk along the road and collect your hops for the year as a home brewer.
Oh yeah, you could. You get a little slightly asphalt taste to it, but it's fine.
Who cares?
Let's call it the asphalt IPA.
Right. Roadkill IPA. Roadkill IPA.
There you go.
There you go. But yeah, like hop farmers make all of their money in 1 week.
Yeah.
Everything that they do throughout the entire year culminates into 1 week where it's do or die. And it's kind of, it's not quite that severe when you're like an app development firm. Like sometimes you're a no man's sky.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you're a do or die. Like, we're going to release the game now. Yeah. Okay.
Cross your fingers. Let's hope we're profitable.
Right.
Because we
hope it's good enough.
Money before. Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. Development time for giant, games like that, it's takes a long time. It takes a lot to do.
Yeah.
And unless you have like income coming in from other sources, it's literally do or die. Yeah. So that's why these type of models are super attractive to software developers, because maybe we can develop these one-off games, and so who cares if they're successful or not? We still have this steady stream of income from our other stuff.
Right. And you look at Disney going, look at all the hate we got for The Rise of Skywalker. Justified. But they're going, would we rather just make more Mandalorian?
Of course.
I'd be cool with that.
Yeah, that's fine. The Mandalorian is the best Star Wars franchise to come out for a long time.
Period. Like, right.
Oh, yeah.
Mo Zamboni chimes in. $5. Thank you so much, Mo. Love Talking Heads. A bunch of nerds who love two unrelated things and will change gears without warning. Your unbridled joy regarding beers and PCs helps us all. Thank you.